Come on. Shannon, I noticed you haven't said Viagra this episode. Viagra, Viagra, Viagra. I only say it when I'm worried about it getting into our sewer system from grumpy old men in Anchorage, and then the belugas are going to have it, and then God knows what'll happen. They'll flip upside down, and I don't know. It'll be horrible. Is there really any difference between a union giving money to a candidate and a union's PAC giving money to a candidate?
Unions, it's illegal for a union or corporation to give money to a candidate. A political action committee is made up of individual contributors, union members who give $2 a week or $5 a week, and then that money's reported, and that goes into a PAC, political action committee, and they disperse it. Unions can't give money to candidates.
And they still can't, and neither can corporations. They can run their own ads.
Yes.
And so those are the ads that they worked so hard to get the disclosure in, so that they could just, it doesn't have to be on behalf. Someone could run an ad for either one of you on your behalf or against you without you even knowing it existed.
Like that'll happen.
It could happen, man. Does the state of Alaska receive any revenue from offshore drilling, the kind of Department of Interior just approved?
Very little. Senator Begich is working on trying to get Alaska on par with the other states that get offshore money, but right now, offshore oil is going to get the state essentially no money.
Neat.
The Gulf of Alaska gets roughly 35% royalty, and the state of Alaska gets 0.
Within 3 miles, we'll get money. Outside of 3 miles, we won't. Yeah, that's got to be changed in Congress. Senator Begich is working on it. Senator Stevens never got it changed. Senator Wielechowski never got it changed. It's got to change.
It cost us $1 billion 3 years ago, 2 years ago, when we had our offshore leases in the Beaufort and Chuck GCs, because we didn't have revenue sharing like they do in Louisiana and Mississippi and Texas.
Bill got a resolution through the legislature last year calling on Congress to do it. And Begich is working on it. I hope Senator Murkowski is joining him, and I assume she is.
Well, wouldn't that be something, Lisa? Can we use this cruise ship vote to go after these anti-Alaskan legislators in this election?
It wasn't so black and white, so just be careful. But you know, Bill and I voted against it. There was, we don't have time to go on, but it's
well, I know there were, like Beth Kurtula lives in Juneau. She was getting a tremendous amount of pressure. That's what her constituents wanted.
Part of the bill was
a different town.
Part of the bill was about which of the communities in the Southeast got the cruise ship money. It gets complex, but I saw no reason to reverse the initiative.
All right, who specifically in the legislature does not think the refineries are gouging us? Gas in Seattle is $2.90 a gallon. Gas in Juneau is $3.10 a gallon. Gas in Anchorage is $3.40.
Pete Peterson, Bill Wielechowski, I all had legislation to say refiners should not be allowed to price gouge. Representative Ramos, some of the others blocked it. So that's the bottom line. You know.
Weren't you just to do an investigation? Wasn't, I mean, we talked about you had a bill.
The Attorney General did an investigation, found that there's an oligopoly, which basically means you have 2 companies who are dominating the market. They can charge whatever they want, but it's perfectly legal. And Les is right. There were a few key legislators that blocked the legislation.
Nice guys. Can you estimate what percentage of the capital budget was federal stimulus money? It was, what, almost $1 billion of the 3.1?
No, we got over $1 billion. We got, interestingly, the largest percentage of stimulus money of any state in the country per person. Yeah, good question. Do you know?
Over $1 billion of the $3 billion budget was federal, and there's going to be a huge amount of federal stimulus money coming in here. It's supposed to create roughly 2,500 green jobs in the state for some of the renewable energy conservation work that's going to happen. You know, the folks will take the money and then still criticize the feds, I suppose, but a lot of people are going to be on the street working this summer.
Okay, when are we going to get real help for young Alaskans trying to go to college? What can we do for students now? What do you think of the proposed tuition increase, and what is it? I had someone say to me something about the rich kids with C averages now have more chance of going to school here in Alaska than other places?
The big flaw in the governor's college aid plan is it spent a huge amount of money and it still doesn't get you into college if you're college ready and didn't take the right courses, right? I mean, the bottom line is money should not be a barrier to college, shouldn't be a barrier to job training. Bill and I tried to get provisions in that would allow for needs-based aid for people who can't afford job training in college. We didn't get it this year, but we'll keep working.
So what about for trade schools, for people to go and get training that's
right.
other than a 4-year degree? I mean, we have a lot of jobs that are needed in the state that don't require a 4-year degree, but do skilled labor.
Yeah.
especially with pipeline jobs and things.
We did get funding in the budget for a pipeline training center up in Fairbanks, and a couple of years ago we got a training center in Mountain View, which will train people in construction trades industries. But 75–80% of the jobs in Alaska don't require a college degree, and we have a huge number of blue-collar jobs, and we should be funneling our resources to get people educated so they can do those jobs.
I mean, Governor Parnell's idea had some merit, but he spent $20 million, more money than is conceivable to not get people into college, and that's what the plan does. I mean, unless you fit within the strictures of his bill. You know, most rural schools don't offer the courses that he requires you to take to get the college scholarship money.
Seriously?
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically kids in town?
Until they figure out a way to get around that big problem with the bill, yeah. Look, the bottom line is if you want to better yourself and can't afford it, we should help you get job training and help you go to college like most other states do.
Well, I would agree. Would you characterize the governor / Dan Sullivan suit against the feds as, quote, frivolous lawsuit? Is this from the people that brought us tort reform?
I think they're relying on activist Republican judges to help them reverse a congressional bill, right? I mean, that's what they're hoping for, activist judges.
I think look, it probably doesn't fit the legal definition of frivolous, but it is, I think, pretty clearly without merit.
So, any chance for a special session? You know, there was an amendment in the healthcare bill that said states could do it themselves. You know, it has to be up to some standards that the feds set, but that states could do it themselves. Any chance you guys want to get together, call a special session, or that Sean Parnell would, now that he actually knows that it's in there?
Well, Senator French and I think Les and others had a bill that would have gotten us state insurance a couple of years ago, and we just got no traction at all on it.
Look, most of the guys who are complaining about health insurance from the feds are saying they'd like better ideas, but in the legislature have never offered them, right? There's no governor's bill that will provide for good health insurance for anybody. And the truth is, if all you can do is block progress and you don't have ideas of your own, you know, people have to ask what you're really doing. And if all you can do is complain about a provision you previously supported, people have to ask about what you're doing. So, you know, it's politics. But I hope instead of complaining about getting people health insurance, people should come up with their own ideas on how to do it. There's just no bills in the legislature from the people complaining about federal health care for any of those guys to offer solutions. No solutions in the legislature whatsoever by the people who are opposing the federal plan. And that just, you know, you have to ask yourself if people really are looking for reform or if they're really looking for the status quo.
Yeah. No, I mean, any chance that you would revisit that bill, the one that Senator French put in? I know last year he put it in, right? And basically it didn't get a lot of traction because the federal conversation was taking up so much about health care.
I think it was two or 3 years ago, actually, he introduced that. It passed, I think, one committee in the Senate. I don't think it got any committee hearings in the House. With the current legislative makeup we have, there is a 0% chance that we will pass that bill, unfortunately.
Is that something, well, it's not a ballot initiative thing you can do either because it'll require funds, right?
Good question.
I wonder how many Alaskans, and please send me an email and tell me if you're watching this at home, how many people would trade their dividend check to have insurance coverage?
Ooh.
How many people would do that? Because if we had that many, right now we've got 120,000 Alaskans that are without, that's about the approximate number that are without insurance. If I could check a box and say, here, pay my premiums, here's my premium for the year, or whatever, and if you had 120,000 people in one pool doing that, you know, it's also a great answer to PERS and TERS if we could just get this state on one system. I know, I'm going to keep bugging you guys about a special session. I know, because, you know.
You don't need to use the permanent fund. I mean, the bottom line is, let's see what happens with the federal plan. I think it's going to be upheld. But you know, I don't think you need to use the permanent fund to deal with that. It's going to be dealt with.
All right. Well, we'll see. Well, thank you guys for being here. It's been fun. And congratulations on being done. I hope you guys get some, you know, rest. And by the time the next session rolls around, we'll be able to have more than 2 of you in a room.
No comment.
Oh, you guys. I didn't get to ask you all those sexy questions. No problem.
No problem.
I'm good, sorry. Christ.